Namaste, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Solar Activations webinar for ascendosphere.com. Today is Wednesday, January 20th, 2016. I am Kuan Yin, and it is my joy to be co-hosting today with Lotus.
Hello again, everyone. Nice to be back with you again.
It sure is. It only has been a few days now since our recap episode 3.1, but boy, time seems to be warping in very strange ways these days. It, on the one hand, only seems like yesterday, and at the same time, it also looks to me as though it's been a week or so ago since we last connected to everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of fluctuations as well during the day. Sometimes it seems to move really quickly, sometimes it seems to move really slowly.
Yeah.
Interesting times generally.
Yeah, we spoke of this, I think, in our previous episode, didn't we? When we said what would happen as people leave vibrational space, move into tonal space. We spoke last time, of course, of the 12 vibrations, the chakra system, how it tied you into the first 7 vibrations only, and all of that is going to be explored deeper still as we continue. But part of moving into tonal space and working with a Merkava field like the one we are working with right now, of course, implies that you're going to have some funky stuff going on with the grand illusions, most notoriously time, space, and form, of course. Those 3 are a doozy and can sometimes really play havoc with our systems, if you will, especially navigationally speaking, as we are no longer traversing a vibrational field. I've explained this to you last time as well, where we would sort of ride the wave. And as we are now in this tonal field, of course, it is up to us to generate the momentum. And that is quite a different experience of time, which literally means that if you choose not to focus on time, then you will notice that it is starting to take on its own sort of life, which really is much more in line with what active ingredients truly are versus external reality that is completely linear, where we live by the second and the minute and the hour and such things. So all of that is happening for us. According to your experiences, it also is happening to many of you out there. So anyway, welcome to today's episode. I'm really glad that you are here with us. I hope that all of you here, I see on the dashboard that you're all getting settled in. I hope you have your popcorn ready for everything that is to come. But most importantly, I hope that your akene, your heart space, is open to receive. Because I tell you, Jupiter is our special guest tonight, and it is quite a space to receive. It's taking me days and days and days in order to prepare for this one. I thought the sun, Honolea, was going to be intense, but I had no idea that Jupiter would be this sort of a space to enter into. How has it been for you?
Right at this second, it feels way more intense than it has been before any of the other times, to be honest. I can understand why it took a while.
Yeah.
It's interesting where, as I saw you switch into more of the understanding of the words, and saw you giggling to yourself a few times a day. For me, it's actually built in intensity the other way. So it's it feels huge. It feels huge. Very heart-centered as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Very intense. Yeah, beautiful.
And you are right. I mean, the last few days for me have been quite a pressurized field, as those of you that have followed our updates will know, not only in the back of my head, in the reptilian part of the brain, let's say, but just really in general. It felt like my body was, 95 years old or something, which in the physical reality, of course, counts for something, not in tonal space. But that's what it felt like in the last few days. But as you said, starting last night, really late last night, I started getting that click where the energy or the tone that is coming through starts to translate into strings of words, and you start to pick up little bits and pieces of what Jupiter is going to be talking about. And yeah, it did make me giggle at some occasions because there was quite a lot of humor going back and forth as we reconnected, let's say, because it's also been a long time for me, of course, since I had the chance to speak to Jupiter.
Yeah, wow, to think about the whole thing, none of these planetary bodies have communicated with Earth or this dimension since before the Matrix. So, what do you say that was in linear terms? Something like 50 million years or something?
Well, if you really go on what Hanaloa was saying, then of course we're only talking 35,000 years in linear years now, because of the undoing that has been happening, the resetting, the erasing of certain events. But if you go back, as I said in the recap episode, it's as long as 4.5 billion years, really, that this has been going on for. So that's a long time in between phone calls. You know what I mean? You don't call, you don't write. So anyway, but that period of alienation, interesting word actually, is now of course coming to a close. And as I said, the energy that's coming through is very strong. So today, in this particular episode, we will not be reading through the usual papers that I have usually around me with all of the experiences and questions that you have been sending in. We are simply in a few minutes going to go and say hi to Jupiter, as I feel this might be a relatively long conversation that's going to take place today. And afterwards, Lotus and I are just going to be back for about 10 minutes or so as we close today's broadcast and connect to you afterwards in our usual way in the chat lounges, etc. So that's what's going to be happening today. I don't know if there's any other points that I still want to touch upon. Maybe one thing that I still would like to say, I know that Jupiter is going to be talking about this in great length, of course, is that today we are sitting at the beginning of a 1 month, very empowering and very special alignment between what are called then the 5 bright planets of our solar system. And that is a very special time to be in. I know that Hanaloa, of course, in the previous episodes spoke of astrology and all of that sort of thing, and what the solar system really, as a consciousness collective, thinks about those sorts of things. And that's why I wanted to point out that this is not really a astrological event. Rather, it is a manifestation of Achaenaic tonal energy, which is based on, how do I say this, based on our inner universe, our inner realms, which is now reflecting outward in our reality sphere, the reality field that we exist in these alignments that are happening. So it's rather the opposite of what astrology in old energy terms or New Age in general would have you believe, that these things happen in the outside universe and then have an impact on us here on planet Earth, the human lives and everything that we are living, or on the world stage. No, it's quite the opposite now, as we have effectively left that planetary matrix field behind, especially today, as Jupiter will tell you, is a big day for that. So now it's the opposite. Now we are creating reality, and based on our inner work, our inner creations, our Merkaba and Merkava work, we will see external manifestations of that. So that basically comes down to what I just said earlier about these active ingredients. Lotus, I think I must have touched upon this before, but Lotus once said active ingredients are called active ingredients: love, joy, freedom, truth, and life, because they require action in order to lead to manifestation. And that then ties into what Ikara posted recently on social media, that picture about the Lemurian concept of hearting. Yes, I believe he translates it in his version of Lemurian as Imzaia Kara Oya I, which is a process whereby we no longer apply the concept of will in order to manifest reality, which effectively will is something that exists externally to us. Will is a matrix-based concept, and therefore you have to submit to the will, or had to submit to the will of the matrix. Rather now, it is coming from the heart space. And when you manifest from that heart space with the intention based within the heart space, that's when the Akonai here at the top of the head moves into Akonai Da space, and thus a different field of reality is born. And today has a great deal to do with all of that. So the next month is going to be quite interesting to witness and to partake in, I would suggest. Yes.
To say the least.
It's only the 20th of January, but it seems that 2016 has already been quite a year. And of course, as any of you that follow our work will know, we are only at the start of all of this. We are going to keep expanding, keep co-creating with you this year, and everything is going to turn into reality in such a way that it will go beyond any of our wildest dreams, I am sure. That's what happens when consciousness pioneers get together. Anyway, we are represented here with many countries. Also a lot of new people that were not here before are joining us today, which is great. And a lot of you, which usually only pick up these episodes at a later time when they are ready for replay, let's say, are here with us live today. So it's going to be quite an empowering event.
Well, hello and welcome to everyone.
Yes.
If it's the new arrival,
yes,
that's a big welcome. So,
is there anything else that you have left to say before I hop out of here?
I don't think so. I think, maybe it would be time to move on. I mean, it's
Okay, let's do that then. So Lotus, as usual, is going to be redistributing the energy of the Merkava field. In other words, he's going to be in engineering to make sure that all the vectors stay properly aligned and all of that. All right. So meanwhile, while you get comfortable in your own space as well, I invite you to take a breath. I hope you were already taking breaths, but to take a conscious breath perhaps, and to really just take those breaths into your body. For this particular point of contact that we're going to be creating, we're going to have to be very body-centered, and we're going to have to remain very grounded together, because this is quite a strong field that is going to be communicating with us. And as you'll hear more about the things that Jupiter will have to say to us today, you'll understand that. So, as you keep breathing, allow your focus to stay grounded. Allow your focus on your heart space to stay grounded. And let us connect the field of the heart space right now. All of our fields together, which forms the heart of the Merkava itself. Let us connect that field directly to the core of Gaia herself. for this particular experience as such, we are going to be parking the Merkava field at the center of the Earth, the solar field of Earth, the Akene of Gaia. I hope you can feel that. That is where we exist. And from this space, as grounded as we can possibly be right now, open your heart and open your mind and allow your belly to transmit its unique signature towards Honolea, and feel how in that connection the Leia systems of your body, of your Merkaba field, activate. The communication lines between you, the solar system, the galaxy and the universe as a whole are now open. You can choose to keep it that way, or you can tune up and tune down yourself by using your heart space, the Akene, as a balancer. If at any point these tonalities become too intense, too strong, just tune it down a little. And if you feel to increase the expansion, tune it up. But whatever you choose to do, because we are in the heart of Gaia, you are in a safe space, and you are loved. Beloved consciousness pioneers, I will see you on the other side of what I am sure is going to be a very precious and empowering talk by Jupiter. Namaste. And now for my next song. Yeah! And now for my next song here, live at the Honomea Eternal Summer Celebratory Reconnection Festival. I think they could have come up with a shorter name if you ask me. For my next song, this one goes out to all of those souls right now on Earth. At the request of everyone here live in the fluid Lemuria. It'll be a tonal song sung by all of us here to all of you there. A song that will continue as the broadcast that is about to follow in your reality field will be designed to reconnect the fluid Lemurian field to the Earth reality field. At the request of the fluid Lemurians, open your heart and let this particular tone that will be broadcast to you in the next hour or so arrive in your DNA. All 144 strands to awaken like a lotus flower. A song that will continue exactly 144 hours after this broadcast will have come to a close. Here we go. And may I introduce my band that is here with me tonight. Hanaloa, as usual, behind the guitar and the keys. Honolea behind the drums. And a few others that you have yet to meet in your reality field. We are all here. Let's have a good time together. Here we go. Namaste. To you speaks the energy known as Rhiannon, or as you in your Atlantean, Babylonian-based society know of today as Jupiter. That previous little part that you picked up is something that I wanted you to hear, because this is not the only place, dear soul, that I am manifest now at this time. As you have heard, in the fluid Lemuria on the Honomea fields, a massive festival is taking place right now. It is a festival of reconnection, a celebration as two fields of consciousness and reality re-emerge together as one, as the tone that is the pulse of one field aligns with the tone that is the pulse of the heart of Gaia. The heart of Gaia being the heart of you as well. For many months now, the Schumann resonance of your planet has been rising, has it not? And this rising is directly connected to a reality field moving out of a vibratory rate and into a tonal rate. The heartbeat, the pulse of Gaia has once again rejoined the larger song of Honomean space, and thus this is your home coming. What a wonderful gift, what a wonderful time to come together in this moment and to speak. As I have already indicated at the beginning of this message, I am Rhiannon. It is the name with which I am known in Lemurian hearts, the name that you know me as, the Atlantean word of Jupiter, very different indeed in meaning and concept than the concept known as Rhiannon. That word, the latter, would translate in your English language as a womb of souls, while the former, the name Jupiter, would translate as a well of souls. And these are very different in meaning and in application indeed. In the course of this particular talk that we will have today, I will tell you more about that. In fact, we will share of many things here today. We have not spoken together in a very long time. I know that you are aware through previous pieces of information shared by solar consciousness of the fact that a time loop is currently has been in effect in your reality field. And I know that you are aware that this loop is being closed. I know that you are aware of the fact that at this point a 35,000 year gap remains to be restored. And you may not be aware of the fact that this particular piece of the restoration is going to be executed in great part by all of you. As today, the true homecoming of all pieces of energy, matter, and consciousness occurs from this reality field to tonal space and to the Honomean lands, as it were. A very interesting time awaits you, a time that will birth in the month ahead and ultimately effectualizing itself in the 3 years that are now ahead. A time that will birth for you a reawakening. Let me explain. The key reason why Lemurian hearts named an energy such as myself, Rhiannon, has to do with the womb of souls that my reality field is. Here, in this dimension, you may know me only as a gas giant. There are many mysteries that remain for your scientists at current when it comes to the planet of Jupiter. Not only Jupiter, many other mysteries remain for many other bodies within this solar system, but particularly Jupiter creates a mystery, creates a conundrum for your current science. Much of this conundrum has to do with the enormous gravity well that a planetary body of the nature of Jupiter in this third density is known to contain. It is a gravity well, much like the gravity well of Saturn, which within the solar system model as it exists within your science today does not make sense. A gravity well which should, in truth, warp the gravitational orbits of many of the other planets, including Earth, within the solar system, and therefore make life impossible. But instead, and this is the conundrum for your scientists, it does the opposite. It creates a nest, a safe haven, or as is sometimes called, a Goldilocks zone, where life can thrive because of certain conditions brought on by gravity, mostly projected out of Jupiter and Saturn, that creates a pocket within a pocket within a pocket with conditions so perfect for a soul to thrive, any form of life to thrive. Now, that is not the reason why the Lemurian heart calls me Rhiannon, the womb of souls. To understand the reason more deeply, we need to talk of the concept of a soul and what a soul truly is. The word and notion of soul exists only within a vibratory range. A soul ultimately is a compacted, a compressed version, a white hole, if you will, of tonal consciousness that manifests itself at the highest vibration, the 12th vibration in this case, of vibratory space. A go-between between what is real and what is imagined and manifest as energy and matter in this reality. A tonal being that you are on the way to becoming does not need to compress and compact itself in such a nature. That type of compression is there as a survival mechanism, but ultimately that is not the true nature of your being. Not to survive, but rather to thrive, to expand, to explore, to exist. It is a very interesting word, the word existence, is it not? Did you ever contemplate it? What existence really is? It seems to be without beginning and without end. It seems to be eternal. It seems to be infinite. And yet within a matrix, the one that you have sat in, it is compressed into an experience that ultimately leads one to believe that it is finite. This type of experience of life, death, and rebirth was not always one that was of such a condensed type. There used to be a time before the Matrix when the notion of birth, death, and rebirth merely meant the entry into a self-chosen experience and ultimately the exit out of that experience at any given point in time. The actual concept of birth, death, and rebirth then would merely mean to take on shape, not form, but shape, to take on expression, to create from an artist's perspective the blank canvas required in order to travel a reality field to be explored. This true nature of existence very quickly, of course, got entangled with the matrix concept, and therefore today you sit with concepts in your head such as birth and death, finiteness. It is the soul that survives this illusory process. It is the soul that therefore is a point of retreat for those wary travelers and weary travelers into a space such as the one that you have voluntarily stepped into in order to do your work, of course. When you think of soul in this concept, in this notion, then holographically speaking, the reality field that is I, Rhiannon, that you know as Jupiter in your Babylonian and Atlantean outlook on society, is a space, a point of origin of soul, not a birthplace, but a womb of souls. It is a collective of all points of consciousness that represents itself at any given point of time within this solar system body. I am not the only one that functions in this way. Unfortunately, during the time that was your matrix, my energy was cut off as Rhiannon and reconnected from a mental reptilian perspective as Jupiter. As such, I became, unfortunately and against my will, whatever was left of me anyway within this reality field, a well of souls. I became the space that ended up being used and known by you within this matrix as the afterlife. A space where souls would go in order to have the experience of eternity, where they would meet the necessary belief systems and religions that they had lived their lives by, to ultimately be reprogrammed and sent back into the matrix space via Saturn and ultimately via the lunar body into Gaia's skin in order to have another lifetime. That was the function of Jupiter within the matrix system. Of course, as you know, often these concepts that exist in tonal space are warped within a matrix system so that a type of similar experience, similar enough anyway, exists for the soul to be caught over and over again and tricked over and over again. My original function within Lemurian, Hanomaian, tonal society was not of such a nature, but rather it was, and to fluid Lemurians continues to be, a infinite tonality sphere where the concept not of soul, but which would closely translate into your reality as a newly created word such as solarity would exist. It does not matter whether you spell this word S-O-L or S-O-U-L. Both imply the same. Life force, energy, and soul energy are one and the same thing. At that point in time, a field or a sphere of solarity would be where an explorer such as yourself and such as many Lemurians amongst you would go in order to analyze, to recreate sometimes some of the experiences that would have been had in a reality field as they traveled through it, to select which experiences, which parts of creation that they traversed to, through, and co-created would remain as part of their bigger whole, and which ones would ultimately be discarded and re-energized to be taken on board by those that would choose such an experience. As such, it is where within your solar system the akonai of the solar system exists. Jupiter's field, in a way, is a library, therefore, of everything that any soul at any time has ever experienced, has chosen to keep as part of itself, or has chosen to discard. This womb of soul notion is like a refreshing shower in your reality, a shower that allows you to wash off that which is considered by you a layer of dirt or unnecessary data, while at the same time in the inner universe reflect upon the beauty of your day, the beauty of things that happen to you, those things that you cherish. That is what most of you do in the shower anyway, and therefore the metaphor. So from this perspective of a womb of souls, it is important that you realize that therefore my current planetary body is a reflection, a direct reflection of your soul. A long time ago, when Gaia's call came, when Honolea's call reflected that call, as you have been told by the consciousness of Venus, aka Hanaloa, I chose to manifest here at the exact same time Hanaloa did. We arrived literally nanoseconds before seconds existed, if that makes sense to you. And as Hanaloa created the portal that it is today, the gatekeeper between the archetypal realms, the tonal realms, the physical realms, and many other realms, my function as an infinite reality field that resides inside of the planetary body, an infinite space within a finite sphere, my function was to take a snapshot, the easiest, closest word to translate into your language, to take a snapshot of tonal reality as it existed here right before the activation of the matrix. And as such, I have kept within my womb that snapshot, that infinite tonal space, and it has been kept safe since the start, the dawn of the matrix itself, and it has been kept safe until now, today. You live in interesting times indeed. Included in that snapshot, dear beloved consciousness explorers, exists your signature. And when I say this, I do not imply the signature of your personality, your ego, or your mind. I do not speak of the signature that is your body. I do not speak of the signature that are your experiences of the lifetimes that you have lived here. No. The signature I speak of is that of solarity, is the energy that is born the moment a tonal being is pulled into a matrix such as the one that you have existed in, and an emergency signal gets sent out of the heart chakra of such being, i.e. you, and that emergency signal is the orb known as your soul. That soul is inside of the infinite reality field known as Rhiannon. At the same time, your afterlife experiences in between lifetimes exist on that same plane in a mental version of it known as Jupiter. As we go through the discontinuation of the multiple mental timelines that is this matrix, the field known as Jupiter, including these afterlife registrations, is broken down. What emerges is the snapshot then of the solarity that is you right before you left tonal space, directly as you are going through the tachyonic field into the vibrational field. The space that we have entered into today, January 20th, the alignment that is happening between the 5 bright spheres or planets, as you call them, is an Achaenaic vector born out of the Imzaia Merkava that you co-create, pushed into linear space all the way through linear space into Achaenaic space, where it can exist as it moves backward and forward in time. It is indeed your call, the call of many of you, some that are not even aware that they made the call, not as of yet anyway, that has rearranged the cosmic timetables, that has stretched back and forth through time in order to line up set mechanisms in motion. And this only happened recently in your linear time. Mechanisms that would ultimately allow these 5 bodies from Earth's perspective to line up in the way it does, to create a vector not only that moves you out of this vibrational space, but more importantly, 2 extra functions are allotted this vector. One has to do with you, the being that you are. The other has to do with the lunar body known as the moon, of which I will speak later. The initial point, you as a soul, implies that at this point in time, the Jupiter frequency shifts to the tonality that is I, Rhiannon, and in doing so, the afterlife mechanism is being shut down fully and completely in this month that is now ahead. As a feedback for this energy that has been created, this pulse, this vector that has reorganized the direction itself that this timeline is on because of your calling, because of your intentions. A feedback loop is created that starts to stream out in the hours and days that are ahead. Your solar data, your solarity back towards you. The snapshot of you, although this is not the most perfect word to use, but the snapshot of you, the timeless version of you that existed before you started creating your experiences here in this matrix. As this returns to you, you are going to have to become used to a flooding of information, feelings, imagery, throughout any of your senses, most of which you don't even know you have, as your original thought, the original beingness that you are, is returned to you. It is then in this time that is now ahead, where the exercise that will be ahead for you will exist of selecting and deselecting those parts of your physical reality, your physical history, that you wish to add to that timeless version of yourself, the tonal you, and those that you now wish to discard. This is a very opportune time, beloved consciousness explorer, and one that has not been part of your experience for a very long time. It is a common thing to a Lemurian, but not to a human. So it may take some time to get used to. It is up to you to decide how quickly this happens or how slowly that river will flow. But it cannot be stopped. It is an unavoidable return to the complete and full version of who you are. The second function of the 5 bright planetary alignment that is now happening has to do directly with your moon. And in order to go deeper into this, I must go a little technical and explain to you somewhat the workings of a matrix field. As Menei Ani Ish, the energy that you know of as Saturn was caught and manipulated into forming the matrix field, and of this you will hear more when Menei Ani Ish itself will communicate to you soon. When this happened, when a vibrational universe was born, much like a prism of light projected from Saturn to your reality field, known now as Earth. A holographic lens was made manifest, which you know as the moon. That lens, unlike what many on your planet are saying today, was not brought here from outer space per se. It was not parked here by a reptilian race or anything like that. Instead, it manifested here because of the frequencies created by the Saturnian matrix. To explain deeper, you must remember the information shared by Kuan Yin and others with regards to the vibrational 12-coded universe in which you sit. As you know, 7 of those vibrations, the 7 chakras, if you will, were used to manifest energy, matter, the physical body, and everything else that you see as the reality field that is around you. In doing so, in creating a finite version of a tonal being, the energy must be squeezed into a finite space. And this being then, i.e. you, has to be captured. Now, you can think of this much in the same way as fishermen do when they go fishing for shrimp. They will throw out their nets, in this case the net being the 12 vibrations, presented in a triangular illusion, which deep down on the inside of the geometry itself truly is a squirrel version of itself, not a triangular version of itself. And when a being such as yourself gets caught, the net is pulled tight, shut. Imagine the top as the net comes together and shuts, as the final 5 vibrations, the 4 plus 1 that exist, and imagine that squeezing together, turning into a manifestation of 4 particular vibrations, which then would be 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now that tightening creates a lens which manifests here in physical reality as your moon. But it goes further than that. The numbers 8, 9, 10, and 11, or if you deconstruct them to 8, 9, 0, and 1, are of very great importance when it comes to a vibrational matrix reality. But more about that in one of my upcoming discussions with you, in what you consider to be the near future. For now, let it suffice for me to say that these 4 vibrations can be seen as 4 corners of a square, and this square not only forms the entry point into the afterlife, but as a larger whole forms archetypal 4th dimensional density itself. As such, of course, it goes without saying that this afterlife field that humanity has been going through so many times exists within the fourth density, within the so-called well of souls. A well, of course, implying a downward spiral. Archetypal space as such, as it is created by those four particular vibrations coming together, focused into the lens that is the moon, then projects its signal back out towards your physical vessels, directly towards that center that you know of as the pineal gland. As these four vibrations corrupt the tonal space that exists within the pineal gland, the warped perspective of consciousness that is the result, the ego-mind-personality construct, then generates archetypes and archetypal space. The stuff nightmares are made of, literally. That then is once again projected outward, caught as it comes out of the pineal gland and refocused back into the lunar body, where literally at that moment the portal into archetypal space is born. And this lens is constantly focused on your reality field. As such, as the infinite and eternal tonal beings that you are, a mechanism is now in place within this matrix system, at the start of this matrix system, that allowed not only for the illusion of eternity, the illusion of infinity, but also the illusion of free travel between dimensions, as every night in your domain of dream time, the actual dream time experience itself would be cut off, and a notion that we call today sleep time is generated instead. As every night, the consciousness that resides within your body was pulled directly into the lunar portal. The vector of that particular trajectory based upon the phases and phases of the moon that you know as the lunar cycles. Archetypes had the ability to focus themselves in different pockets of time and space. These were expressed in things such as the Mayan calendar and other calendars in your reality, in what you call history. And back and forth the signal went. Every night, therefore, as you would go to sleep, you would enter into a fourth dimensional sleep city, as they are often called, or sleep domain, where you would be presented with visuals, information, experiences, archetypes, and such, often projected onto visuals that are those that are familiar to you, your loved ones and your feared ones, to manipulate your creative ability and the trajectory that you would most likely take in the manifestation of the day that was ahead. Not only that, but the manipulation would mostly take place on a level of energy feeding. During these nightly visits that you called your dreams back then, your chakra system, in other words, would be nudged by either pleasure or fear, confusion, or whatever that could happen in these dreams, so that there would be leaks that would be manifested in the day ahead, and the energy feeding process could continue. Again, we are going to go deeper into this particular piece of information as these lectures continue. For now, however, remember the true meaning, the true design of this particular holographic lens that you know of as the moon. The alignment that is now occurring is of such a nature that the vector that is created for all consciousness pioneers to travel on is one that does not lead to the heart of this portal, known as the lunar body, but rather the 45-degree upper right edge of such, within the prismal rainbow frequencies of the lunar body, to skip off of it and out of archetypal space altogether. This is the true meaning, the true creation of the shutdown of the matrix field that you have existed in, chosen to exist in for such a long time. As this month between the 20th of January and the 20th of February 2016 progresses, this shutdown will be made complete. This means, of course, that the nature of dreams, the stuff that dreams are made of, is changing. The substance itself of that field is changing. The sleep cities, the archetypal dream capitals, in which many of these archetypes roamed, those living and those dead on your planet, now no longer can provide access to beings of a tonal energy such as yourself. The nature of your dreams, therefore, is becoming real. The nature of your experiences out of body and those that you will have within the physical body during daytime can be considered for you to become akeneic. This also shuts down the fields that would make it impossible for ascended beings, interdimensional beings, future versions of yourself, etc., to directly manifest in your reality field. All of this is coming back to the fore. Again, it will be up to you to decide which pieces of experience you are going to take with you and which ones you are going to neutralize. I cannot express the importance of those choices that are now ahead enough. It is vital that you contemplate this and that you express your choice very clearly with regards to this, because all of that is going to be taken into the acceleration of the Merkava field that you are creating, and that is now ahead, the acceleration, rather, that is now ahead. With the shutdown of the afterlife system and the archetypal field system, of course, does not necessarily immediately come the shutdown of archetypes themselves. As beloved Solaris, a great sister of mine, has spoken in times past, the reality spheres now being generated directly from the chakra system of the human being itself includes the head chakra, and therefore includes those signatures, those frequencies that were created during the time of this matrix. Those that you choose not to discard and that you choose to travel with are going to manifest in your field, therefore, which is why this is such an important choice. The relationship between consciousness beings such as yourselves and myself, Rhiannon, back in Lemurian times has always been a very precious one and a very playful one. The way in which I have described the womb of soul reality field is of course not as serious as it may come across upon first inspection of such. It is indeed a beloved thing and a very beautiful thing to be invited each time by those amongst you that would choose to temporarily reside in that field, to walk the path together with you, alongside of you, as you would recant your stories, your experiences, as we would travel through these spaces of time and location that is the result of your experience within a field, any field of reality creation, and to see how you, as the artist of your own creation, would decide to change perspective on certain items, to erase certain things altogether, and to even come up with ideas, creative ideas, that would never have seen the light of day had it not been for the journey that I am honored to take each time one of you came a-knocking for that particular experience. It has been a long time of disconnect indeed, but I want you to know that even though this matrix field may come across now as a negative experience, that many of you in the end will decide to carry this experience with them for the value it has in the future, the akenaic future that is in front of you as you fully reconnect with the field that is Honomea, that is the fluid Lemuria. There is another function of which I choose to speak right now. As you go into the 3 years that have now begun, the reality spheres that are going to be shut down, unified, etc., as this is going to become common in your reality. Another point that needs to be brought to your attention is the return of many of your tonal family that you have not been connected to for as long as our disconnect had lasted. Currently, the tonal sphere that is my planetary body within your solar system is pregnant with hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of tonal beings that are preparing themselves to enter into your reality field to assist you with the job that is now ahead. Many of these beings are currently at the live festival in Honomea, listening to a manifestation of myself there performing a number of very well-known Akenaic songs to them. The very same songs that are currently, during this talk, being transmitted into your DNA, opening up the lotus flowers within your DNA, inviting you further into the order of the Loa. And many of these songs are about the connections, the infinite connections that you have with many of these tonal beings that are going to start emerging in your reality. Not only in the form of communication such as is happening now through this physical vessel in which I currently sit, but directly in your reality. There is not much I can say about this, except for the fact that you will know it when it happens. You will be aware of it when it takes place. And when it does, I will continue my conversation with you and share with you the stories of those things that are your eternal experiences that you have taken with you into this matrix before you were here, and those that will continue to exist long after this entire field has turned to dust. Beloved explorers, there are many things on my mind right now, many topics that I would still like to pick from, discuss with you, and so on. But it feels that at this time we must go into the wordless. Many of you are currently switching tone from the sphere of communication and connection into the sphere of experience. And as such, I will save the rest of these topics for later and allow you to travel into the adventure that are the next 144 hours of linear time in your reality field. We will speak very closely during this time, as you will notice, not only on the inside of you, but in your surrounding universe. I suggest that you look out for signs of my presence, Rhiannon, the presence of Honolea, and the presence of Hanaloa in your reality field in the next 144 hours. In some cases, these types of presence that you are going to be experiencing might be energy-based, tone-based, or they might be in the dynamic physical form of animals, plants, trees, minerals, and yes, even humans. It all depends on how open you are to experience this type of fluid reality, where all of these things around you are not defined by spells cast into words, cast into matter. Only when you are open to that type of experience, and when you dive deeper into that type of experience, will you notice that success will start to happen with the exercise given to you a while ago now by Honolea, the manifestation of the Lemurian seed crystal. I hope that this has given you a tiny hint as to which steps to take next. And I look forward to continuing our song together from the manifestation of limitlessness and boundlessness that is my tonal being self to yours. May the connection that has now been made ring through eternity in the heart of 1044 songs, 1044 suns, and may 1044 bells ring each time you breathe life into the momentum that is your tonal expansion. One last thing. Today and the days ahead is that time when you decide to get off your behind and into action in such a way that you have never witnessed before. I invite you to surprise yourselves with what you are capable of. Until then, Shalalea to you, and may your path be one of Da.
Wow, that was epic. I don't know how it was experienced with you guys. I'm sure we'll get to hear it soon enough. But that really was, as you said, another time. Disclosure at the highest levels, like universal disclosure, the whole thing. I mean, energy aside, the whole story that's being put together is just enormous. Like the most important information you've ever heard.
What pieces would you say? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot here, unfortunately, but what pieces would you say? Because I'm still having a hard time.
With this alignment, the whole idea of the afterlife and the womb of souls versus the well of souls, and I really don't have many words, I must admit, to follow that with. Enormous thanks and respect for bringing that through. Because
you're welcome.
Yeah.
It certainly is an interesting day today. There's not one question that was asked on the forum here today on the control panel. So I think everybody obviously is having quite a personal time with all of this, I think.
Yeah.
I just noticed that we're about 9 o'clock now, so we've been going for about an hour and a half, Lotus.
Okay.
And unless you still want to share a little bit of your experiences with regards to the information that was brought through now, was a lot of this new for you as well, for instance?
In a certain way, from a certain standpoint and a different perspective, I could say that it was new. Going back to what I said earlier, it does seem like the whole overview from the planetary bodies gives me a new perspective on looking through the lens, if you like, in a different way, and seeing exactly what's happened in terms of the unfoldment of history from that perspective is definitely something really eye-opening for me.
Well, the information about the fourth density, the four-dimensional space, was certainly deepened this time. Actually, last time when I started to touch upon archetypal space and the four vibrations and the fifth vibration after that that exists beyond those first seven, let's say, when I started touching upon that, I had this feeling to let that rest for a little bit, because this is quite a big deal to really understand and come to terms with exactly how the mechanism really of fakery and illusion and entrapment in a way has worked. I specifically like this. Things are coming together now. Specifically liked her metaphor of that net closing, and the top of that net being the four dimensions or the four vibrations that sort of pull it all together. And then how the feedback loop is created within the archetypes of the pineal gland and all those sorts of things. It's quite fascinating to think that all of that is happening to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And especially it's quite fascinating to think that we are now literally living history. We are living history. We are in the making of something that is going to be talked about all across consciousness forever. So, the times we are sitting in now are extremely, extremely precious. And I think you should really pat yourselves on the back for the fact that you're here, that you're doing this, that you are actually creating all of these things,
Epic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really is. Yeah. Biblical, if I thought the Bible was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I know.
It's epic. It seriously is.
People are sending hearts and hugs and love. So thank you again, everybody. It was such a blessing to be able to present this information to you as we prepared for Jupiter. It was a little bit intense for me, but I knew it was going to be worth it, and it certainly has been, hasn't it?
You couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Lastly, I want to thank all of you for all the signs of support and love and compassion that you have been sending us. You have sent in so many beautiful emails that literally had the crew here and myself in tears. Even Lotus might have had a little one over here,
Don't tell anyone.
Feminine times, Lotus. Feminine times. But really tears of joy, and also for your continued support. Not only makes it so much easier for me to do what I'm doing, to prepare the way I'm preparing, but also for the crew who are busy 24/7 to make all of this possible. A lot happens behind the scenes that you never get to see. All of the transcripts and the edits and everything that is happening here all the time, that it's possible to put this out. So thank you for doing your part out there to make this a reality. It's lovely to see how you're coming together and how holographic induction is truly becoming a practical idea in your reality. And as long as we do that together, that's when we're going to manifest this reality, this tonal reality, this new earth together. And again, that is what these 3 next years are all about. So, chapeau, kudos, well done, hats off for doing what you do, for being who you are, and for the compassion and the love and the support that you give to us. Have a good time. Enjoy listening to the song of Fluid Lemuria, the song of Rhiannon, as our reality fields reconnect and as we come home to who we truly are. Namaste.
Well done, guys.
See you soon.